Police officers of Reddit. What's the craziest situation you've been in? Story 1. Showed up to a call once about a baby crying nonstop for hours and no sign of an adult being home. We went into the house, and I followed the sound of the crying baby upstairs to find an 18-month-old with her arms duct taped to her crib. I undid the duct tape, and it was obvious this was not the first time it had happened. I brought the child downstairs and outside. The mom was walking up the sidewalk of the housing unit and flipped shit on me. I handed the child off to a patrol and cuffed her. It was the most satisfying clicking of handcuffs I had ever heard. Story 2. Responded with my partner to a welfare check on an elderly gentleman. Knocked on the door, walked in and couldn't find him. Went to his garage and found him sound asleep behind the wheel. He tried to commit suicide by asphyxiation. Thing is, he only had a small amount of fuel and it was a new Civic. He was pissed when he woke up that I wasn't Street Peter. Story 3. My dad friend who is a cop in NC told me that some teen tried to steal an electric shopping cart from Target with a fuck ton of shit in it and tried to outrun the cops, but the cart only went 5 miles per hour for like 25 meters. Then the battery died. The cop just asked him to push the cart back since it died and return the stolen items. Story 4. Dad tells the story of a guy he knew who kept getting caught for writing bad checks. He was such a big guy he wouldn't fit in the police car, so they would just meet him at the magistrate office and write him tickets. I know, some trust, but a year or so after this kept happening, he got a call that there was a domestic dispute at the house. So they rush over there and he's got an axe in his hand sitting on the front porch all bloody. They approach and tell him to put the axe down, which he does, and proceeded to tell them that his wife is in the bathtub, or at least her head is. But guy was completely open and cooperative, didn't run or anything. Asked if he could meet them at the magistrate office and dad was like, yeah, nah dog, you're gonna have to get in the car this time. Story 5. While serving in South Korea, my team was on patrol in the local drinking village when we heard someone drunkenly singing the US national anthem. At a loss for where this individual was, we finally looked up and there he was, tightrope walking on the ledge of a building 3 stories up. This is when precision of language is of vital importance, especially when dealing with a drunk. The sergeant on scene said, "Hey, come down here." The drunkard said, "On my way," and proceeded to step off. Under the impression I was about to witness my first death, I was in shock. Through some bit of weird luck or science, he glanced the hood of a slightly misted Daewoo truck and slid down to the ground. We ran over to him and he said, "Hey guys, how's it going?" He had open fractures on both femurs, and after some makeshift splinting and controlling the bleeding, he was transported to the nearest hospital. Soju is a hell of a thing. Story 6. Definitely the time that an older, mentally ill woman tried to burn her house down because she believed that was the only way to disarm the atom bomb in her attic. I got her to walk with me to my car and get in the back by telling her it was the only place she'd be safe. When I got in and started driving, she started yelling that I couldn't take her to jail because she hadn't done anything wrong. I calmly informed her that we were going to the hospital, which prompted even louder yelling of, "I'm not crazy." I replied, "I don't think you're crazy." She screamed, "Then why are you taking me to the hospital?" I told her, "Well, you were next to that atom bomb, right? We gotta get you checked for radiation poisoning." Her eyes got wide and she said, "Oh shit, I didn't think about that. You better hurry." Story 7. I know a guy who was a cop in Texas when I was in middle school. He told me about this one time this woman called 911 because her house was haunted. He proceeded to put handcuffs on an invisible ghost and acted like he was putting it in the police car. Story 8. First time my brother arrested someone was really funny. He and his training officer were working the graveyard shift and got a call for suspicious activity at a house. They arrive and the homeowner says there is someone sneaking around his house that shouldn't be there. So, they start looking around with their flashlights. Grass is really overgrown in the backyard and my brother notices one of those Fisher-Price kids' cars, yellow and red plastic car, moving on its own. They found their guy, naked and high AF, trying to hide under the kid's toy and crawl away. The training officer says, "Well, he's yours, rookie. Had my brother cuff him, guy didn't want to go to jail and put up a naked fight and take the guy to jail." Story 9. Attended a structural fire in a downtown high-rise. Was tasked with evacuating local residents in case the building collapsed. Third house I went to, The guy answers in a full bunny suit with gas mask propped up in his head. English wasn't his first language, and as I was trying to communicate that he needed to evacuate, it became clear he was running a meth lab inside. Arrested Asian Walter White, and then had to sit in the shadow of the structure fire keeping eyes on the house while waiting for clear clandestine lab team to show up. In that time, fire trucks basically surrounded my vehicle so I couldn't move it, even after clear team moved in. Walter had his lawyer call in my PC, and it was about 10 hours before we could head back to cells. I've never had to piss so badly in my life. Story 10. My brother is a cop, and he often shares his stories with me. He tells me that he received a call from a dispatcher saying that there have been screams reported in an apartment building. There were no other details. My brother reports to the scene, just outside the door of the apartment building. Sure enough, there's yelling. A lady is belligerently yelling, "Get it out, get it out." My brother pounds on the locked door. The lady eventually responds, saying, "I can't get to the door, please, help me. Maybe my son can get to the door. I need to get it out." My brother waits a bit, still not knowing what's going on. He hears the voice of a little boy, saying that he can't reach the doorknob to unlock it. My brother talks him through some steps he can take to unlock the door. Finally, the little boy is able to unlock it. He opens the door. A violently putrid smell hits my brother immediately. The little boy seems clueless and quiet. My brother notices burnt spoons and drugs my memory has failed me specifically, which scattered across the floor. He follows the voice to the room, still yelling, "Please help, get it out." He enters the room and there is blood splattered absolutely everywhere. The floor, the walls. He sees a man with his fist inside the yelling woman's vagina. She continues to yell, "Get it out. I can feel the demon inside me. Get it out." Not sure how the whole situation was de-escalated. However, after further investigation, turns out the heavily drug-using couple went to a psychic or fortune teller where the lady was told that she has something evil inside of her, something along those lines. Shortly after, the couple made their way to the apartment and have sex. As he is inside of her, he says, "I think I can feel the demon inside of you. Can you feel it?" And she responds, "Yes, I do feel it. Put your hand in there. Get the demon out. Get it out." Which leads to the scene that my brother walks into. Story 11. A guy on a sports team I play in is a drug squad cop and told us the following story. They had staked out a meth lab house for a while and surveilled the house with pinhole cameras for some time. They'd noticed that the occupants were becoming increasingly erratic. Someone senior suggested it was due to them not replacing the filters in their protective masks. Anyway, at some stage they decide it's time to go in, so tactical enter and grab all the guys and clear the rooms. Then a chemical team go in to make sure everything is safe. Eventually my mate and his team go in to collect evidence with a few young uniforms to help. The house is a bit of a shambles, but nothing too unexpected, until one of the uniforms picks up a large rubber dildo and starts playing around with it in front of everybody. The senior then tells him, "You know that while reviewing all the footage on this place, we never saw any women entering or leaving this house. And why are you the only one not wearing gloves?" Story 12. Not a cop, but a cop friend of mine in SE Washington, D.C. He got a domestic disturbance call and arrived at a calm scene. The husband explained he and his wife had been arguing, and that she had gone over the top, but they were both fine now. The wife confirmed the story, but stated she didn't want the husband back in the house that night. My friend asked if the husband had a place to go, and he agreed to go to his mother's house for the night. The husband left, then my friend and his partner left soon after. About an hour later, they get a call back to the same house. When they get there, the husband is in the kitchen, dead. The wife explains that right after the police left, her husband came back and resumed arguing with her. He got in her face and she stabbed him in the neck with a chicken bone, hitting his carotid artery. Story 13. On a hot midnight in the Bronx, about 3:30 a.m., I got a burglar call. Me and my partner found it strange when Central gave us the address because it was a funeral home. We arrive at the scene of this brownstone building and immediately see the basement lights are on. We look at each other and say, "No way. Someone actually broke in here?" So we enter through what is an open door and begin to clear each room of the funeral home. When we reach the basement and open what is a brightly lit body prep storage and prep room, we are immediately confronted with several bodies on tables covered in different stages of undress with bed sheets on them. Our attention is drawn to a very startled naked man holding playing cards. I look at him and simply say, "What the fuck and who the fuck are you?" He looks at me and my partner and nervously responds, "I'm the mortician." I say, "Wait, who are you? And what the fuck are you doing?" He says, "I'm the mortician and I'm working and playing cards." "Playing cards?" my partner says. The mortician goes, "Yeah, cards. See?" He's holding his hands out displaying the deck of cards. I look around and see each of the 4-5 bodies have their own hands dealt to them. We asked for his ID, verified he belonged there, and we proceeded to leave with a queasy feeling, laughing our asses off. My partner looks at me and says, "How should we mark this job?" "Best job in the world. I miss the clowns, but not the circus." That's all for now. Thanks for listening to Digital Apathy.